Let us not fritter away our precious time merely surviving. Come to this moment and remember what it is to live. Let us not deplete our precious energy, fruitlessly worrying. Come to this well of quietude and remember what it is to be joyful. Let us not invest our precious souls in illusory desires. Come to this place of contentment and remember what it is to love. Come, let us worship together. I invite you to rise, embody your spirit, to join our voices in our opening hymn, number 361, in the gray hymnal, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Please remain standing as Stephanie Aldrich lights our chalice this morning with these words by Betz Wieneke. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us. It is now time to begin our celebration of Advent. These are the words of Reverend Erica Hewitt. Many years ago, thousands of years ago, people in the Northern Hemisphere were thought to have gathered wreaths of evergreen and lit fires as signs of hope in the coming spring and renewed light. The custom was kept alive by Christians, and by the 16th century, the Advent wreath had gradually spread across many parts of the world. Today, Advent is the period of the 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas. It is also the time, in the Northern Hemisphere, when days are shortest, when cold settles in, and when people need the cheer brought by the promise of light and warmth. As we light one more candle each Sunday, this Advent wreath symbolizes our waiting experience. Week by week, the candles remind us that fear and hopelessness recede as more warmth enters the world. The flame of each candle reminds us that more is yet to come. On this first Sunday of Advent, we light this candle of hope with these words of Macrina Wiederkehr, a Benedictine monastic. I was just thinking one morning during prayer how much alike hope and baking powder are, quietly getting what is best in me to rise, awakening the hint of eternity within. And so may this candle awaken the best in us, connect us to the eternal, and give life to our hope. Sai Wang loses his horse, by Louis An. Once upon a time, there was an old man named Sai Wang. He had a horse. The people said, "Oh, Sai Wang, you are so lucky to have a horse to help you work." Sai Wang replied to them, yes, no, maybe so. And he went back to work. Then, one day, the horse ran away. The people said, "Oh, Sai Wang, you are so unlucky to have your horse run away." Sai Wang replied to them, yes, no, maybe so. And he went back to work. Then, after a while, the horse came back with another horse as a friend. Now the people said, "Oh, Sai Wang, you are so lucky. Now you have 2 horses. You are practically rich." Sai Wang replied to them, yes, no, maybe so. And he went back to work. Sai Wang's son took a liking to the new horse. One day, while trying to tame this horse, the son was thrown and broke his leg. He was permanently disabled. The people said, "Oh, Sai Wang, you are so unlucky. What a terrible thing to have to happen to your son." Sai Wang said, yes, no, maybe so. And he went back to work. Some years later, a war broke out. In every village, young men were being drafted to go fight. Most of them did not come back. But Sai Wang's son, because of his disability, was not drafted. Sai Wang was glad to have his son. The story ends. Thanks for listening. Please remain seated for our prayer hymn, number 391 in the gray hymnal, Voice Still and Small. Dear God, we arrive here in this moment just as we are. We feel lucky. We are giddy in our good fortune. Everything seems to be turning up roses. Or we are grateful in our avoidance of others' misfortunes. There, but for the grace of God, go I. Either way, we don't need to say a lot, but we might, a little too loudly. We feel unlucky. It seems that life and the world have met our hopes and dreams with a resounding no. Things that are beyond our control make their way into our lives from the most remote corners of the world. We hurt and feel angry, afraid that things will only get worse. But however we feel, we often forget that how we feel has nothing to do with our true fortune. Dear God, help us to remember that your great gift to us is that you are with us in all these times, and from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, all the days of our lives. Amen. I'll light a candle for the joys and concerns of those beloveds joining us virtually, and a candle for all else that we hold in our hearts and our minds this morning. If your heart is hurting, know that your community is here to help, as is Reverend Jane. Please reach out with any needs. Let us receive the gifts of this life with wide-eyed gladness, and let us also share these gifts with open-hearted joy. For it is by doing these things that we remember the true meaning of generosity. For those of you watching the service online, you may contribute to a virtual offering plate using the donate button on our website, or by mailing a check to the church office. I invite the ushers forward to receive the offering. For all that you give and all that you do for our church and its wider concerns, we give thanks. Our first reading this morning comes from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, verse 11. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to those of understanding, nor yet favor to those of skill. But time and chance happeneth to them all. And this from the book of John, chapter 9, verses 1 through 3. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a beggar who was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this person or the parents, that they were born blind? Jesus answered, Neither hath this person sinned, nor the parents, but that the works of God should be manifest in them. I invite you to rise in body or spirit to join our voices in hymn number 298 in the gray hymnal, Wake Now My Senses. I've always enjoyed games. Correction. I've always enjoyed winning games. When I was growing up, chess was my favorite because it was a game of skill, because nothing was left to chance. No roll of the die or turn of the card could control my fate. None of this battle not to the strong or favor not to those of skill BS for me. No siree. Chess was my game, and those other games, those luck games, could stay in the closet for all I cared. These days, I've all but given up chess and embraced the very sort of games that I scorned in my youth. I try to be both a good loser and a good winner, especially when I am particularly lucky or unlucky. But I admit it is hard not to be irked when things don't work out, and it's even harder not to be gleeful when they do. You'll have to ask the folks that play games with me now how I'm doing at this. This morning, I want to talk about the game of life, and I don't mean the board game by Milton Bradley. I want to think hard about what it means to be lucky in the game of life. We'll start with our first reading from Ecclesiastes, which can be boiled down to the inelegant yet incisive phrase, stuff happens, where we can replace the word stuff with a different word that is not usually spoken in church. After stuff happens, the natural follow-up is the equally incisive, what are you gonna do? I'll tell you some stories to illustrate some of the different things we do when stuff happens. Finally, we'll wrap things up and try to make sense of it all before sending you on your way to spin the wheel again in your own game of life. Let's begin with a quick survey. Please raise your hand if you live under the sun. Yes, I see it. Yes. All right, you put your hands down. Please raise your hand if you have ever uttered or thought the words, "It's not fair." All right, hands down. Please raise your hand if anyone has ever said to you, "Life's not fair." Oh, very good. You are in good company. These are the words of the wise King Solomon. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to those of understanding, nor yet favor to those of skill. But time and chance happeneth to them all. I take great comfort in this one verse from Ecclesiastes. Why? Isn't Solomon bemoaning, or at least grieving the fact that life is just not fair sometimes? Yes, no, maybe so. I take comfort in its universal nature. I find it to be the ultimate, you are not alone. Time and chance happeneth to all of us under the sun. Time and chance. Time, we will all die. No one is immune, not the swift, nor the strong, not the wise, nor the skilled. Chance, we will all be lucky sometimes, and we will all be unlucky sometimes. This one verse grounds my humility, and it tames my envy. But there's more. This one verse tells me that the meaning of life is bigger than my puny notions of how things should be in the world. What would our lives be like if they were entirely determined by our gifts, or lack thereof? What if the outcome of the game of life was predetermined, based on the skills of the participants? No, says Solomon, life is not fair. This one beautifully written verse reminds me that there are no guarantees, that you can't always get what you want, that you win some, that you lose some, that stuff happens to all of us, and then we die. So, what are you gonna do? We often seek God in some shape or form when our fortunes take a turn for the worse. Rabbi Harold Kushner's best-selling book was titled, "When Bad Things Happen to Good People." And the stories I'll tell this morning are tales of misfortune. But I want to bring up something that I touched upon earlier. What do we do when we are lucky? When fortune favors us? In some sports, there are penalties for excessive celebration. And then there's the other side of that coin, being grateful for our luck, our good luck, not to have that bad thing happen to us. Thank God it wasn't I, or there, but for the grace of God go I. It is a natural reaction, but I think it is tinged with Schadenfreude, that fine German word that means being joyful in the misfortune of others. And I'd venture to say that as much as God does not want to be cursed for our bad fortune, she also does not want to be thanked for our good fortune, because either way, we are missing something. So, when stuff happens, when things don't turn out as planned, what do we do? Story time. I call this first segment a wailing and a gnashing of teeth. One of my favorite books is John Steinbeck's East of Eden. I believe it is the one book that my mother, my wife, my oldest child, and myself have all read and all enjoyed. It is filled with life, with questions, with observations, and with mythic storylines arcing over generations of characters. I love Moby Dick and David Copperfield, but if I had to bet on a book that you would both read and love, I'd lay my money down on East of Eden in a heartbeat. In the following passage from the book, we get a glimpse into the soul of a minor character, a two-bit henchman named Joe Valerie. Joe had another pleasure he saved for times when he was alone, and he did not know that it was a pleasure. He indulged it now. He lay on the brass bed and went back in time over his sullen and miserable childhood and his fretful and vicious growing up. No luck. He never got the breaks. The big shots got the breaks. A few snatch jobs he got away with, but the tray of pocket knives, cops came right in his home and got him. Then he was on the books and they never let him alone. A guy in Daly City couldn't shag a crate of strawberries off a truck without they'd pick up Joe. The guy couldn't take that crap. Had to get out. Out of his memory of bad luck, a warm sadness grew, and he pushed it with more memories until the tears came to his eyes and his lips quivered with pity for the lonely lost boy that he had been. And here he was now. Look at him. A rap against him, working in a whorehouse when other men had homes and cars. They were safe and happy, and at night their blinds were pulled down against Joe. He wept quietly until he fell asleep. Okay, time for a private survey. Mentally, raise your hand if you have ever indulged in Joe Valerie's pleasure. Okay, hands down. Our next segment is called Just Keep Swimming. What is good luck and what is bad luck? And who can tell? This viewpoint, that luck with a capital L, is an incomprehensible force in life, is central to Chinese culture. Our story for all ages, Sai Wang loses his horse, is so well known, is so ingrained in the culture, that it has become an intrinsic part of the Chinese language as a so-called chengyu, a fixed four-character phrase that can be found in any Chinese dictionary. I think that part of the beauty of the story is its lack of a proper ending. For surely, something else will happen to Sai Wang. Will it seem lucky, but be unlucky? Will it seem unlucky, but be lucky? We are left to ponder our own lives and journeys through times both good and bad. The Chinese movie To Live is another story with a Sai Wang-like theme. The main character, Fu Gui, whose name literally translates as fortunate and honorable, is the no-good son of a local nobleman in the 1930s. He is addicted to a dice game, which he doesn't really understand. And in the local tea house, he gambles away the family fortune. In the space of a few hours, his father first disowns him, and then has a heart attack and dies. Then his pregnant wife, Jia Jin, whose name means family treasure, and his young daughter leave him. Fu Gui hits bottom. The roller coaster continues. Fu Gui starts a roving shadow puppet troupe. If you ever have a chance to see a Chinese shadow puppets, take it. He is first conscripted by the Kuomintang, and then he is captured by the communists. And he entertains them with his puppets and improvised revolutionary songs. When he returns to his village, he rejoins his wife and daughter, and it turns out that losing the family fortune has saved him from an almost certain execution as a nobleman. The movie continues through the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. There are scenes that are absolutely heart-wrenching. Fu Gui's wartime blood brother, Cheng Shun, kills Fu Gui's son in a freak accident. Fu Gui's daughter dies as she gives birth to his grandson. There is also a scene that is so heartbreakingly sublime, I can't but help but weep whenever I watch it. When Fu Gui's wife, Jia Jin, forgives Cheng Shun, when his life takes a turn for the worse during the Cultural Revolution, decades after her son's accidental death at his hands. How does it all end? Like Sai Wang, there is no clear resolution. Fu Gui and his family visit the graves of his children. They grieve some, and then they return home for a meal. There is no celebration, no despair. They just keep living. Our final story this morning comes from the second reading. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a beggar who was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, "Master, who did sin, this person or the parents, that they were born blind?" Jesus answered, "Neither hath this person sinned, nor the parents, but that the works of God should be manifest in them." The disciples want to assign fault, to assign blame for what they perceive as misfortune. Someone had to have done something wrong for this to happen. Definitely Old Testament thinking. God punishes us for our sins. Jesus wastes no time in setting his disciples straight. Who sinned to make this person blind? Nobody. Nobody sinned. It's just the way things are. Que sera, sera. And there is a great potential for goodness, for the work of God to be done here. So, Jesus, being Jesus, proceeds to restore sight to the blind beggar. It is a miracle, but many are blind to the miracle. Because the healing happened on the Sabbath, the Pharisees are convinced that it is the work of a sinner. Others think that the blind beggar must have been faking it all along. Still others don't believe that the blind beggar and the person who can see now, who looks just like that blind beggar, are the same person. And actually, in a way, they are right, but not with the correct understanding. The healed beggar has changed, for they have seen the light, and they now follow Jesus. They give up begging for their life, and they begin to live. When we feel that we are unlucky, that life has dealt us a bad hand, often our first reaction is to bemoan our fate, to wail and gnash our teeth. We wallow in our misfortunes. It can be cathartic. I wouldn't be surprised if scientists have discovered that we get some kind of endorphin rush from the weeping. But in the long term, I don't think it is good for our souls. There is a real danger of identifying ourselves with our perceived misfortunes. We can, and perhaps even should, hold our little pity parties, but after a while, the healthy thing to do is to move on, like Saiwang or Fugui. We may not expect to understand what is happening or why, but if we keep on swimming, we won't sink into the mire of self-pity. And the real challenge is to let Jesus open our eyes so that we may truly live, like the blind beggar in the book of John. This may take time, the time of our lives. But the challenge remains, the challenge to see beyond our notions of cause and effect, of blame and sin, of good luck and bad luck, and to understand that God is always with us to make good out of whatever happeneth under the sun. It is our opportunity, and it is our choice. May we both seize it and choose courageously. Amen. I invite you to rise and body your spirit Join our voices in hymn number 1021 from the Teal hymnal, Lean on Me. Go forth, and as time and chance happeneth to you, may you move forward with the light of God in your heart. Go in peace, and amen.